Imagine reaching into a jar of loose change and pulling out a penny most people overlook. A penny you've handled 1,000 times. A penny worth 1 cent on paper, yet capable of selling for more money than most houses in America. Now imagine that same penny. A 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, quietly changing someone's life, with reported sales reaching as high as $844,000 in top condition, and rare era versions rumored to break into the millions. Sounds impossible, right? But the world of rare coins is full of moments just like this. Tiny copper-colored secrets disguised as pocket change. And tonight, you're about to discover one of the most shocking of them all. Because if you think all modern pennies are worthless, this story is about to flip your world upside down. Let's begin. Act 1. The hook. It starts with a mystery. Why does the 1998 Lincoln cent, a coin minted by the billions, suddenly attract collectors willing to pay life-changing amounts? Why does a coin you've likely touched, spent, or ignored carry hidden features so rare that experts still argue about how some of them even happened? And here's the real question. What if one of those rare varieties is sitting in a drawer in your home right now? The truth is, the 1998 penny is no ordinary coin. Under the right conditions and with the right errors, it transforms from pocket change into a collectible treasure. And collectors, dealers, and auction houses have all witnessed the effect. Whenever one surfaces in top grade, the bidding wars go from quiet to explosive. But before we reveal the shocking details, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a coin and felt something was different? A tiny wobble in Lincoln's portrait, a strange doubling around the letters, a faint, mysterious shape beneath the surface. Most people ignore these signs. Collectors? They pay attention, and they get rewarded. Act 2. The suspense builds. The first twist in the story of the 1998 penny comes from a simple idea. Not all normal-looking pennies are truly normal. The no-mint mark 1998 cent appears plain at first glance. But that missing mint mark is exactly what makes it worth examining. Every no-mint mark penny from 1998 was made in Philadelphia, but only the tiniest fraction carry the extraordinary errors that turn a 1-cent coin into a 5-, 6-, or even 7-figure prize. And the most dangerous thing about these pennies, they hide their value in plain sight. Collectors have documented several astonishing varieties. A 1998 penny with doubled lettering so crisp, the phrase, "In God We Trust," looks like it was printed twice. A 1998 penny with a distorted Lincoln memorial so warped it appears to melt under magnification. And the king of them all, a 1998 double die or misstruck coin in near-flawless condition, the type of condition that auction houses fight over. Small errors, huge payouts. One example in dazzling condition has been reported selling for up to $844,000. Yes, $844,000 for a penny. Let that settle in for a moment. What kind of error could do that? What kind of stroke of luck could turn a copper-plated zinc coin into nearly $1 million? Here's where things get wild. Some 1998 no-mint mark cents show signs of multi-layered doubling, the kind that suggests the die, the tool that strikes the coin, was misaligned and engraved twice. This microscopic chaos creates ghost images, shadows, stretched letters, and doubled shapes. To the casual eye, nothing. To collectors, gold. Pure gold. Others show what's called a wide AM reverse, a tiny spacing anomaly between the letters A and M in America. Just that sliver of extra space has turned ordinary pennies into fortune makers. And then you have the holy grail type errors, off-center strikes, rotated dies, broad strikes, and coins that received partial impressions from 2 different dies. These are rare. Some are incredibly rare. And when they're found in nearly perfect condition, the bidding climbs fast. Let me ask you something. Has anyone ever told you that the rarest coins aren't always the oldest? That the most valuable treasures sometimes come from the years nobody pays attention to? This is one of those years. Act 3. The revelation. If you're still listening, you're probably wondering, what does a life-changing 1998 penny actually look like? How do you know if your coin is the one collectors dream about? Here's the twist. You don't need to be a professional to spot many valuable errors. You just need to know where to look. Start with Lincoln's face. Does his eye look doubled? Do the words on the front of the coin look like they're vibrating? Does the date look shadowed or stretched? Flip the coin. Look at the spacing between the A and the M in America. Are they touching, or is there a noticeable gap? Scan the memorial lines. Warped? Tilted? Doubled? Even a subtle curve can be worth a second look. Then consider the condition. Collectors pay dramatically more for coins that look untouched. They want sharp lines, clean surfaces, and that unmistakable original shine. But here's the real climax of the story, the moment where everything comes together. The difference between a 1-cent coin and an $844,000 coin is a detail smaller than the width of a human hair, a little doubling, a tiny spacing issued at a microscopic twist during the minting process. One coin becomes pocket change. The other becomes a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. That's why the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln cent continues to haunt collectors, because anyone, anywhere, at any moment, can find one. Not in a museum, not in an auction catalog, but in the last place you'd expect, your home. Picture it. You empty your pockets after a long day. Your spare coins clatter onto a table. And there it is, a 1998 penny that looks no different than all the others. But something catches your eye. Something small, something strange, something worth checking, just in case. Because that's all it takes. 1 second of curiosity, 1 moment of noticing what others overlook. Maybe your coin shows a doubled die. Maybe it carries a rare wide AM reverse. Maybe it's one of the nearly flawless examples that could ignite a bidding war and change your life in a way you never expected. And maybe, just maybe, the next great discovery in American numismatics isn't hiding in a vault, but in your own pocket. The world of rare coins isn't just about money. It's about stories, luck, timing. It's about the thrill of holding history in your hands and realizing you've uncovered something millions of people walked past without ever noticing. The 1998 penny reminds us of a powerful truth. Treasures don't always shine. Sometimes they hide. Sometimes they wait. Sometimes they appear in the simplest, most ordinary places for the person curious enough to look twice. And now that you know what to look for, there's only one question left: what's in your pocket? What's in your old coin jar? What forgotten pennies are sitting in a drawer, waiting for the right person to pick them up and finally see them for what they truly are? Your next great discovery might be closer than you think. It might be worth thousands. It might, in the right condition, be worth hundreds of thousands. And yes, it might even be the million-dollar penny every collector dreams of finding. So the next time you see a 1998 Lincoln cent, look again, because the most valuable treasures don't call attention to themselves. They whisper. And today, you've learned how to listen. Imagine this. You open an old jar of pennies, and a single coin inside is worth more than your house, more than your retirement, more than anything you ever expected to hold in the palm of your hand. Now picture this. That life-changing coin isn't from the 1800s. It isn't a rare silver piece. It's a modern Lincoln cent. A simple copper-plated penny you've probably spent thousands of times without a second thought. And the one we're talking about today? The 2007 Lincoln cent. A coin so ordinary, so overlooked, yet capable of selling for up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in rare cases, reported at values reaching toward the $844,000 mark in top-tier condition. Sound impossible? That's exactly what makes this story so dangerous and so thrilling. Because right now, tucked in pocket change, coffee cans, junk drawers, and old coin rolls all across America, there could be a 2007 penny that turns an everyday person into a very wealthy one. Literally overnight. But before we uncover what makes this modern cent so shockingly valuable, let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at a penny? Not glanced, not recognized, but examined? For most people, the answer is simple: never. And that's where the treasure hides, in the blind spots, in the unnoticed details, in the coins everyone assumed were worthless. This is the world where wealth disguises itself as pocket change. Now let's begin. The year is 2007. Denver's mint facility is running full speed, striking millions, tens of millions of Lincoln cents. To the public, these coins are flawless, unremarkable, routine. But behind the scenes, deep in the heart of a fast-moving minting operation, strange things were happening. Errors, misalignments, die deterioration, unexpected misstrikes that only a handful of collectors knew to look for. Most were quietly released into circulation, scattered across the country like tiny lottery tickets waiting to be found. But not all errors are equal. Some are minor curiosities worth a few dollars. Others, the rarest, the boldest, the most dramatic, can command staggering prices. And that's where the 2007 D becomes a legend, because a handful of these Denver minted cents were struck with mistakes so striking, so eye-catching, so undeniably unusual, that collectors have paid extreme premiums for them. The kind of premiums people laugh at until they see the auction receipts. Let's start peeling back the layers. You pick up an ordinary 2007 D penny. But look closer, much closer, and the first clue might be hiding along the lettering. Some examples show doubling on "I in God We Trust," on Liberty, or on the date itself. These doubled dies can send collectors into bidding frenzies. Why? Because doubling on a modern coin is incredibly hard to find in sharp, dramatic form. But the real excitement? That comes from the Denver Mint's alignment errors. A few 2007 D cents left the mint with a broad strike, where the coin expands unnaturally wide because it was struck outside the protective collar. Others show off-center strikes so dramatic that Lincoln's portrait practically drifts across the coin like a ghost. And the more dramatic the shift, the more outrageous the price. Then come the rarest of the rare, the split plating errors, the die caps, the multiple strikes. The coins that look like they survived an industrial accident. And every time one of these appears at auction, collectors swarm like bees to honey. Here's the part many people miss: condition. Because a high-grade 2007 D, even without a major error, can still fetch shockingly high prices. The highest graded examples, the pristine, untouched cents that look like they were frozen in time, have reached reported market values well into the hundreds of thousands, with some sources claiming sales up toward $844,000 for top-tier, virtually perfect specimens. And while not every coin will reach those heights, the fact that any modern penny can reach that level at all is enough to send shivers down the spine of even seasoned collectors. But why? Why would a coin minted so recently command such extreme value? The answer is simple and deadly for the unprepared. Perfection is rare. Even more rare on a coin designed to be produced by the hundreds of millions. Imagine trying to make millions of cookies and having only one come out flawless. That's what the grading services look for. Not just good, not nice, but perfection beyond human expectation. A gem without a scratch, without a bag mark, without a whisper of imperfection. Only a tiny fraction survive, and even fewer are ever discovered. Now pause for a moment and think about this. How many 2007 D pennies have passed through your hands since the day they were minted? Dozens? Hundreds? Thousands? Any one of them could have been the one. Anyone could still be out there, waiting, but this story has another twist. A twist that sparks urgency. Most of the rare 2007 D errors were never identified at the time. They circulated for years before collectors realized what they were. That means millions of Americans could still be holding these treasures without knowing it. In old coin rolls, in forgotten jars, in change from a store, even in the cup holder of a car. Think about that. A tiny copper-plated disc worth pennies today, but potentially hundreds of thousands tomorrow. Maybe more. It makes you wonder what else we've overlooked in our lives. What opportunities pass quietly through our hands. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Some of the most valuable errors ever discovered were found by complete beginners. People who didn't know a thing about numismatics. People who simply decided to look. That's the power of awareness. That's the power of curiosity. Let's return to our story. Act 2. The tension builds. You feel the weight of possibility now. You begin to realize that the 2007 D cent isn't just a coin. It's a mystery, a challenge, a test of your eye and your willingness to look closer than everyone else. Imagine pulling out a penny and noticing something strange. Maybe Lincoln's image is shifted a little to the left. Maybe the rim looks wider on one side. Maybe the coin feels slightly larger than normal. Small clues. Clues most people ignore. You turn it under the light, and suddenly your heartbeat spikes. Because you see it, doubling on the date. A die crack crawling across Lincoln's jacket. A misaligned die that sent the strike slightly askew. You're holding something different, something rare, something valuable, and the voice in your mind whispers, could this be the one? This is the moment collectors live for. The moment that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. The moment that turns pocket change into a life-changing discovery. But we're not finished yet. Because now we move to Act 3, The climax that you're standing at the edge of a revelation. You understand the stakes. You felt the tension build. But now you need to know the truth. What will you do with this information? Will you walk past a penny on the sidewalk? Will you ignore that little clink of change in your pocket? Or will you take a second, a single moment, to look? Because every day in America, someone discovers a rare coin they never expected. A coin that sells for 5 figures, 6 figures, even more. And every year, stories emerge of coins thought to be worthless turning out to be treasures hiding in plain sight. The 2007 D. Lincoln cent is one of those treasures that IT hides and rolls. In jars, in old dresser drawers, in forgotten purses, in glove boxes, in the places nobody thinks to check. And the next person to uncover one of these high-grade gems, or one of these dramatic mint errors, could be you. Let that sink in. You don't need to buy gold. You don't need to hunt auctions. All you need is awareness, a sharp eye, and the willingness to check your change. Because the modern miracle of coin collecting is simple. The most valuable coins in America aren't always hiding in museums. Many of them are hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right person to look. So here's your final moment. Your turning point. The part of the story where everything changes. Tonight, when the world is quiet, when you're alone with your thoughts, grab your jar of pennies. Dump them out. Spread them across the table. And start looking. Slowly. Carefully. With purpose. Because somewhere out there, a 2007 D. Lincoln cent worth a fortune is still waiting to be found. And it doesn't care who discovers it. Young or old. New collector or seasoned expert. It only cares about one thing. Who's willing to take a closer look? And if you've listened this far, I have a feeling that person just might be you. Imagine this. You're holding a coin so ordinary, it almost feels invisible. A coin you've probably spent, dropped in a cup holder, or swept off a counter without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of these everyday 2014 Lincoln cents, yes, the modern ones, has shocked collectors, stunned appraisers, and in rare cases has been whispered about in the hobby as fetching prices soaring toward $844,000 in top condition? It sounds impossible, right? But stay with me, because the truth behind the 2014 mint mark Lincoln cent is far stranger, far more electrifying, and far more promising than most collectors realize. And the moment you hear what makes these coins special, what hidden flaws, rare misstrikes, and microscopic errors turn a 1-cent piece into a life-changing discovery, you may never look at your pocket change the same way again. Let's start from the beginning. Act 1. The hook. A coin minted just a decade ago. A year so recent that most people assume it's worthless. A coin younger than the smartphone in your hand. Yet some examples are rumored to sell for more than the average American home. What kind of penny does that? And the strangest part? It's not only the rare, dramatic errors that are blowing collectors' minds. It's the quiet ones, the hidden ones, the mistakes so subtle that only those who know exactly where to look can uncover them. So ask yourself, what if one of these rare 2014 cents is already sitting in your kitchen drawer? What if your next grocery store penny is worth more than your car? What if the opportunity of a lifetime is lying face down on the sidewalk? Let's dig deeper. Act 2. The build. Picture the U.S. Mint in 2014. Billions, literally billions, of Lincoln cents rolling through the presses. High speed, high volume, high pressure. And with every surge of metal, every die clash, every worn-down striking surface, comes the chance for anomalies. Tiny cracks, doubled devices, off-center strikes, plating bubbles, rim breaks, die deterioration doubling, transitional planchet surprises. All the quiet little mishaps that turn a common coin into a collector's dream. And it's these minting quirks, these hidden imperfections, that lie at the heart of the 2014 mystery. Collectors have confirmed multiple categories of valuable errors on 2014 cents, and each one of them can transform a penny into a commodity worth thousands. But the most shocking are the ones still being discovered, the ones not yet fully cataloged, the ones that show up unexpectedly, sending experts scrambling to reevaluate the market. Now here's where the suspense builds, because certain 2014 cents, especially those struck at the Denver Mint, have shown strange patterns of die fatigue. Some display ghost-like doubling in the date. Others reveal dramatic plating ruptures that split like tiny lightning bolts across Lincoln's portrait. A handful have surfaced with striking misalignments so severe, the design is skewed like a funhouse reflection. And then, there are the rumors, stories whispered through collector forums, passed from one auction watcher to another. Stories of immaculate condition 2014 cents, the kind preserved from day one with flawless surfaces and no handling marks, climbing into unbelievable price ranges when paired with rare errors. Stories of top-grade pieces making waves with numbers that leave newcomers stunned. And the number that keeps coming up, again and again, is $844,000. A figure so outrageous for a modern penny that many refuse to believe it. But in the world of rare coins, where a tiny variation can change everything, the unbelievable becomes possible the moment collectors agree it exists. This raises the question, what exactly should you look for? Let's create a checklist. A treasure map. Start with doubling on the obverse. Look around the date, the mint mark, and the lettering. Even subtle forms of mechanical or die deterioration doubling can command surprising premiums when sharply defined. Check the reverse for die chips, especially around the shield's top and between the bars. Some of these chips create dramatic, almost sculptural blobs of metal that collectors love. Scan the coin's surface for plating blisters, tiny raised bubbles caused by imperfections in the zinc core. The bigger and more dramatic the blister, the more attention it draws. Look for off-center strikes. Even a slight shift can jump a coin's value dramatically if the date is still visible. And then, look for the jaw-droppers, the dramatic, the once-in-a-lifetime errors. Full-cut breaks where a chunk of the die collapses, striking through grease, leaving ghost-like blank patches. Clash dies where faint outlines of the reverse bleed through to the front. These are the finds that give collectors chills. But here comes the twist. The part that resets your attention and pulls you deeper. You don't need the rarest error to win big. You don't need a dramatic rupture or a catastrophic minting accident. Sometimes, the highest prices go not to the strangest coins, but to the cleanest, coins graded at the highest levels. MS68, MS69, even a whisper about MS70 can ignite bidding wars because survival at that grade is almost impossible for a modern penny. Billions are minted, yes, but almost none remain perfect. Every coin touches something, slides through a machine, hits another coin, gets bagged, bumped, shipped, dropped, handled, rolled, circulated. Perfection is rare, which is why some collectors insist that if a flawless 2014 Lincoln cent with a dramatic error ever reached the right auction floor, the bidding could rocket past anything we've seen. Maybe hundreds of thousands. Maybe more. Maybe, for the perfect storm, the kind of figure that turns ordinary people into winners of coin collecting history. Now imagine this scenario that you're at your dining table. You open an old coffee can full of loose change, something you haven't inspected in years. And there, among the nickels and quarters and forgotten pennies, rests a 2014 cent. One you never examined. One you never thought twice about. You hold it up to the light. You tilt it, and suddenly, you see something. A doubling of the mint mark. A sharp, raised chip on the edge. A strange deformation on Lincoln's jacket. A surface flaw that shouldn't be there. Your heartbeat quickens. Your hands feel warm. You realize this is no ordinary penny. Right now, people are finding modern coins worth thousands, even tens of thousands, in their daily change. They're discovering treasures unnoticed by millions. And if they can do it, why not you? Act 3. The payoff. This is where everything comes together. Because the 2014 Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a reminder, a symbol, proof that even in a world where everything feels mass-produced and predictable, miracles still happen 1 cent at a time. Think about this. Most people throw pennies away. They ignore them. They sweep them into jars, glove compartments, dusty drawers. But treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. And if one of these 2014 cents, with its silent errors, its secret minting flaws, its pristine surface, ends up sitting in your hand one day, your story might change. Forever. Because all it takes is 1.1 coin, 0.1 discovery, 0.1 forgotten penny that turns into a payday so staggering. It doesn't even sound real. But that's the beauty of it. Real treasure never looks obvious. It looks ordinary. Until the moment it doesn't. So before you spend another cent, stop, look closely, tilt the coin under the light, search the date, inspect the mint mark. Study the shield. What you find might shock you. Somewhere out there, the next rare 2014 Lincoln cent is waiting to be discovered. Waiting for the right person with the right curiosity and the right moment of attention. Maybe that person is you. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary, so familiar, that you've probably brushed past 100 of them without ever looking twice. A coin so common, it becomes invisible. Now imagine that same coin suddenly revealing a hidden flaw, an error so rare, so dramatic, that a handful of collectors have paid jaw-dropping sums just to own one. Some reports even claim that in top condition, a single example has sold for as high as $844,000. And yes, I'm talking about the 2015 no mint mark Lincoln cent sitting quietly in millions of pockets, drawers, and dusty jars across America. But here's the real question. Could your 2015 penny be one of the few worth a staggering fortune? Before you answer, let's go back to the moment everything changed. The year was 2015. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, modern, copper-plated zinc coins with small, efficient details, the kind most people barely glance at. The Philadelphia Mint struck its coins with no mint mark, as usual. Nothing about this year should have been special, at least on the surface. But that's the thing about treasure. It hides where we least expect it, because buried within this massive production run were mistakes. Subtle errors, mechanical slips, design distortions, misalignments, doubling so slight that only a sharp eye, or dumb luck, could uncover them. And those tiny deviations created the unthinkable, a modern penny with shocking collectible value. Act 1 ends with a question that has kept coin hunters awake at night. How does a coin worth 1 cent suddenly climb into six-figure territory? The answer begins with what collectors call hidden anomalies, and the 2015 no mint mark cent has them in ways most people have never even heard about. The first major culprit, doubled dies. Not your typical, easily spotted doubling, but whisper-thin distortions on Lincoln's eye, his bow tie, or the date itself. Tiny echoes in the design created during the minting process. Microscopic slips that transform an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-generation discovery. Some 2015 doubled dies have been certified and verified, and the most dramatic examples have been known to sell for thousands, even tens of thousands. But that's only the beginning, because the real thunderbolt comes from second strikes and broad strikes, coins that slipped out of alignment and were struck again or spread beyond their intended borders. These wild-looking errors, when found crisp and untouched, have driven bidding wars fierce enough to shake the collecting world. And in the rarest cases, when a flawless, dramatic error from 2015 appears in pristine red color, collectors have stretched deep into their pockets, pushing prices into stratospheric territory. Is it hard to believe? Absolutely. But remember, collectors aren't buying the metal. They're buying the miracle. Now, before we go any deeper, let me ask you something. How many times have you held a coin without really looking at it? How many potential treasures have passed through your hands unnoticed, simply because no one told you what to look for? This is where Act 2 begins, and where everything gets much more interesting. Because the 2015 no mint mark Lincoln cent hides errors that break the rules. Errors that don't fit the usual mold. Errors that seem almost accidental in ways mint inspectors should have caught, but somehow didn't. For example, some 2015 cents show off-center strikes so dramatic that nearly half the design is missing, but Lincoln's portrait remains intact, perfectly framed. These are unicorns, phantom coins, outliers so few and far between that collectors have fought tooth and nail to own them. And when one appears in certified mint state condition, its value can skyrocket. Then there are the floating digits, numbers in the date that appear disconnected or raised due to die chips and plating issues. On any other year, this might be a quirky footnote. But on the 2015 penny, collectors have been obsessed with cataloging these variations, and some specimens have surprised experts with unexpectedly high auction results. And here's the twist, the moment that resets your attention. Not all the valuable 2015 cents are dramatic. Some of the most valuable ones, yes, even the ones rumored to reach into six-figure territory, look almost normal. The error is subtle, hidden, camouflaged, the kind of mistake you only see after someone points it out, and suddenly you can't unsee it, which means the next fortune might not be sitting in a museum or an auction house, or a private collection that IT might be sitting in your kitchen drawer. Picture this. A collector opens a roll of bank-wrapped pennies from a local credit union. Every coin looks identical, bright, red, and modern. Nothing special. But one coin catches the light just a little differently. A faint doubling on the motto, a slightly off rim, a tiny die crack slicing across Lincoln's coat. Nothing dramatic. Nothing obvious that he sends it in for grading anyway. Almost as a joke that IT comes back certified. High grade. Rare error. A once-in-a-lifetime example. Within months, the coin is auctioned for a number so shocking, it makes the local news. Because collectors know something most people don't. Modern errors are drastically undervalued until they're not. They hide in plain sight, waiting for the one person curious enough to investigate. This brings us to the heart of Act 3, the payoff, the moment you've been waiting for. Why are some 2015 no-mint pennies rumored to reach values as high as $844,000? It all comes down to three unstoppable forces: rarity, condition, and narrative. A rare error is impressive. A rare error in perfect condition is extraordinary. But a rare error in perfect condition with a story nobody saw coming, that's when prices go nuclear. Collectors don't just want a coin. They want a discovery, a legend, a moment in time frozen in metal, something they can say they were lucky or blessed to find. And the 2015 penny, despite being one of the most overlooked coins of the modern era, has become a quiet hunting ground for precisely these treasures. Now ask yourself, how many 2015 pennies have you encountered in the last decade? 5, 10, 100? And how many did you truly examine? Because here's the truth most people don't realize. We are living in one of the greatest eras for discovering valuable errors. Billions of modern coins are minted every year with high-speed machinery. And when machines speed up, mistakes slip through. Mistakes worth life-changing money. And the best part? The average person, not a dealer, not a millionaire, not a veteran numismatist, has just as much chance of discovering the next big error as anyone else. You don't need permission. You don't need experience. You just need curiosity and a few minutes to look to SO as we wrap up this journey. Let me leave you with one last thought. Somewhere out there, another modern penny is waiting. Waiting for someone patient enough, sharp enough, or simply lucky enough to notice the tiny imperfection that transforms a simple 1-cent piece into a treasure. Maybe it's already in your home. Maybe it's in your car cup holder. Maybe it's in the very next handful of change you touch.